The Enchanted Forest. Stories 2. Of the world, there lived a young woman named Elara. The village, nestled between vast mountains and dark forests, was a quiet place, untouched by time and the outside world. The villagers had simple lives, filled with hard work, traditions, and stories that had been passed down for generations. Among these stories, one stood out: the tale of the enchanted forest. The forest, known as the Nightshade Wood, loomed just beyond the village's borders. It was a place of legend, shrouded in mystery and fear. According to the old tales, the forest was alive with magic, a magic so ancient and powerful that it could bend reality itself. The villagers believed that anyone who entered the forest never returned, taken by the forest's guardians, creatures born from the magic, neither man nor beast. Despite the warnings, Elara had always been drawn to the forest. As a child, she would stand at the edge of the village, staring at the thick trees, her imagination running wild with the stories her grandmother had told her. Now, at 18, that fascination had only grown. While others feared the forest, Elara felt a strange connection to it, as if it called to her, whispering secrets in the wind. Her curiosity was soon given purpose when one fateful night, her younger brother, Arlen, went missing. The villagers searched everywhere, but there was no sign of him. As the hours passed, hope began to fade, and whispers spread through the village. He had gone into the Nightshade Wood. Elara refused to accept it. She couldn't believe that Arlen would venture into the forest alone, but as the days passed, with no word, her heart grew heavy with the realization that he might have. The villagers warned her not to go after him, telling her it was too dangerous, that the forest had already claimed him. But Elara couldn't sit idly by. She had to find him, no matter the cost. On the 7th day of Arlen's disappearance, Elara packed a small bag with provisions, and, under the cover of darkness, set out for the forest. The air was thick with tension as she approached the tree line, her heart pounding in her chest. The moonlight barely penetrated the dense canopy above, casting long shadows on the forest floor. With a deep breath, she crossed the threshold and stepped into the Nightshade Wood. The silence inside the forest was eerie. No birds chirped, no animals rustled in the underbrush. It was as if the forest itself was holding its breath, waiting. Elara's footsteps were the only sound, crunching softly on the leaves beneath her boots. As she ventured deeper, the trees grew taller, their branches twisted and gnarled like the fingers of some ancient being. Hours passed, and Elara began to feel the weight of the forest's magic pressing down on her. The air was thick, heavy, with an unseen force that seemed to pull her in every direction. She had no idea where she was going, but something inside her told her to keep moving forward. She had to find Arlen. As the sun dipped below the horizon, plunging the forest into darkness, Elara made camp by a small clearing. She sat by the fire, her eyes scanning the trees around her, half expecting something to emerge from the shadows. But the night remained quiet, save for the occasional rustle of leaves in the wind. Just as she was about to drift off to sleep, a soft voice echoed through the clearing. "Elara." She bolted upright, her heart racing. She looked around, but there was no one there. The voice came again, this time clearer, closer. "Elara." It was Arlen's voice. Without thinking, she grabbed her lantern and followed the sound deeper into the forest. The trees seemed to close in around her, their twisted forms casting strange, shifting shadows in the flickering light. The voice led her further and further until she reached a clearing, unlike any she had seen before. In the center of the clearing stood a massive tree, its bark glowing faintly with a soft, golden light. The ground around it was covered in flowers that pulsed with a gentle, rhythmic glow, as if they were alive, breathing. The air hummed with magic, so thick it was almost tangible. Elara. The voice came again, this time from the tree itself. She approached cautiously, her hand resting on the hilt of her dagger. As she neared the tree, she saw something, or someone, within its bark. It was Arlen. His face was barely visible, his body encased in the tree's trunk, as if the tree had grown around him. His eyes were closed, his expression peaceful, but his voice, somehow, reached her. Elara. Help me. Tears welled up in her eyes as she reached out to touch the tree, but as her fingers brushed the bark, a sharp pain shot through her hand. She yanked it back, gasping. The tree was alive, its magic too powerful for her to touch. Arlen, I'm here, she whispered, her voice trembling. I'm going to get you out. But how? The magic that bound him was ancient and far beyond anything she had ever encountered. She knelt by the tree, her mind racing, trying to think of a way to free her brother. Suddenly, the ground beneath her trembled, and the air grew colder. From the shadows, figures emerged, tall, slender creatures with eyes that glowed like embers. They were the forest's guardians, the creatures from the old tales. Their presence sent a chill down Elara's spine, but she didn't back down. One of the creatures stepped forward, its voice a low, melodic hum. You should not have come here, human. I'm here for my brother, Elara said, her voice steady despite the fear coursing through her veins. Please, let him go. The creature tilted its head, its glowing eyes narrowing. He is part of the forest now. His fate is sealed. No, Elara said, shaking her head. There must be a way. I'll do anything. The creature studied her for a long moment before speaking again. There is a way, but it comes with a great price. I don't care about the price, Elara said, desperation creeping into her voice. I'll pay it. Just tell me what I have to do. The creature gestured to the glowing tree. The forest's magic binds him, and only the heart of the forest can break those bonds. But to claim it, you must enter the heart of the forest yourself. If you succeed, your brother will be freed. But if you fail, you will be lost to the forest, just as he is. Elara didn't hesitate. I'll do it. The creature nodded and pointed to a path that seemed to materialize out of the shadows. Follow the path. It will lead you to the heart. But beware, many have tried and failed. The forest does not give up its secrets easily. Elara squared her shoulders and started down the path, her resolve unshaken. The forest seemed to shift around her as she walked, the trees closing in, the air growing colder. She could feel the magic thickening, twisting, testing her. As she moved deeper into the forest, the path became more treacherous. The trees whispered to her, their voices soft and seductive, trying to lure her off the path. Shadows danced at the edges of her vision, figures that disappeared the moment she turned to look. But Elara kept moving, her thoughts focused on Arlen. She couldn't lose him. She wouldn't. After what felt like hours, she reached the heart of the forest. It was a massive, ancient tree, larger than any she had ever seen. Its roots twisted and coiled around the ground, and its bark pulsed with a deep, otherworldly light. At its center was a small, glowing orb, the heart of the forest. Elara approached cautiously, hand outstretched. As her fingers closed around the orb, the ground shook, and the tree groaned, its branches creaking and cracking. The magic surged through her, overwhelming her senses, but she held on, refusing to let go. The world around her blurred, the forest dissolving into a swirl of light and darkness. She felt as if she were being torn apart, her mind and body pulled in different directions. But through it all, she kept her grip on the heart. And then, just as suddenly as it began, the magic receded. The forest stilled, and Elara found herself standing in the clearing once again, the heart of the forest in her hand. She turned and ran back to the tree, where Arlen was trapped. The guardians were gone, and the tree stood silent, its magic dim. Elara pressed the heart to the bark, and, as she did, the tree began to crack and splinter. Slowly, Arlen's form emerged, his eyes fluttering open. "Elara?" he whispered, his voice weak but alive. Tears streamed down her face as she pulled him into her arms. "I've got you. You're safe now." The forest around them seemed to sigh, its magic fading as the siblings made their way back to the village. The nightshade wood, once feared and shrouded in mystery, was no longer a place of darkness. The magic had been tamed, its secrets uncovered, and Elara and Arlen returned to the village as heroes, their bond stronger than ever before. And though the fours like, share, subscribe, comment,